dog about to go home, I start making go home videos where I start trying to explain to you what I'm trying to get out of the dog or what I'm doing to affect the dog. So the last couple times that I've worked him in this arena, no. So you can tell he's very, I would say his attention span is short, but really if Cookie finds something that Cookie wants to do, Cookie is going to go do that if you're not paying attention to him. So you really kind of have to keep your thumb on him about stuff. I had him set up to send in the way that I wanted him to go. So I try to make this pretty obvious to the dog. I have livestock right out here. I don't normally send my dog to the tight side, meaning the side where the livestock are kind of packed in on the fence. I set him up over there so that he had ample opportunity to get out and get around his livestock. And I set him up at an angle to where if I leaned into him, his head would turn out towards the fence and he would be on a perfect trajectory to go get around these livestock. Now, he is not sending this far on his own normally. So what I expect to have to do is to have to walk parallel to him towards the livestock until he's committed to getting around them without cutting them off, going through the middle, or abusing them or making them worried in any way. So when he lifts my livestock, if he lifts them nicely and they trust him, they won't be afraid, they won't be challenging him, they'll stick together well. If they have babies, which these don't, they'll have a minute to gather their babies, collect them, and get moving. And that kind of, number one, you're teaching the dog how to manage your livestock, and number two, you're teaching your livestock that just because the dog shows up doesn't mean they're going to get chased and abused. You have time, pick up your babies, and let's go on. So let me reset him because he moved. So this is kind of what I mean about him coming into pressure. He chose to face me and face my pressure. When I set him up perfectly to be able to face the livestock, so number one, that's your first challenge right there. Make sure your dog's looking at your livestock before you send him. Because if he's not looking at the right thing, then he's going to go the wrong way or in the wrong manner, with the wrong attitude, whatever it is. So I'm going to set him up again. Pressure, and he repeatedly got up or ignored his down, ignored the pressure or the recall or whatever it was. So when I did finally get his attention, I put him on the collar and I put him back over there, facing the way that I want him to be. He's stayed this time, so he's hopefully in a little bit better headspace. But anyway, the idea of me moving parallel up towards the stalk is hopefully he feels my bubble and he continues to stay out. When I know he's committed, then I can fade out of the picture. And if he chooses to come into my bubble, even if I'm walking parallel with him, I can scold him and push him out, okay? So this is called managing his outrun. And this is probably what you're going to need to do when you work the dog, even in a smaller area. Is just manage it until you know that he's committed to picking up your livestock the way that he needs to. Going back to what I was saying, come by and away are the traditional herding commands. I have not put those verbal commands on him yet because I personally don't feel like he's releasing pressure every time. I don't name a behavior until I have the behavior consistently. So what I have been telling him to do is just get around. Get around is a general command. It just gives the dog permission to get up and move, because if I verbally down him, I have to verbally ask him to get up, or else he's violating the rules that I've kind of told him about. And the rules are, if I tell you to down, you stay down until I tell you to do something else. So I do have to verbally ask him to get up. So what I've been doing is I've been telling him to look. So I say look, and I look at my stock, and I kind of keep him in my peripheral. And when he's looking at his his stalk, when he's looking in the way that I want him to go, then I say get around. And then I might have to make a motion towards him and kind of use my arm or stick, if you're using a herding stick, to block one way or the other and make sure that he goes the correct direction. So anyway, we'll just kind of demonstrate that now. And again, if it falls apart, you're going to see exactly what I have to do to help him get it right. So I try to get kind of parallel with him. I'm a little bit behind his shoulder right now, which means I can press on his head a little bit. He's not paying attention to me, so it didn't affect him. He is looking towards his stalk. I want to see him look kind of up the fence line, just like that. He looked away, but I'm going to ask him, look, 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 and I'm going to look at my livestock. Look, look, good. And I praise him when he does it. So good doesn't mean it's a release command. Good is just a praising word, like you've got the good boy, good man, good, good. And now I'm going to release him. The next time he looks the right way, I'm going to release him to go. Look. He's looking at the stalk, so he's looking to shoulder into them, so that's why I'm not releasing him yet. I want to see his head. Good, just like that. Maybe not so far out the fence, but that's okay. Look. Good. Get around. Get around. Down. So he chose to go the wrong way. I do not know why he does that. I'll be honest with you. My pressure's in the right place. You know, it's just a little trial and error there, but he does this pretty consistently. He may have one side that's much better than the other side, whatever it is. He may just be avoiding pressure, which is what I feel the core issue there is that he's avoiding the pressure. He doesn't want me telling him what to do, so he just does, he just tries to get out of the pressure. Cookie, look, look, good, get around. I'm releasing pressure on him because he's correct, and now he's not. Coming to put pressure on him, and then when he felt my presence, he did arc out, so I was able to back out of there. So herding, when you start out with a new dog, there's a lot of handler involvement, so a lot of back and forth from the handler, putting yourself where you can put pressure on the dog if you need to, and then reinforcing what he needs. But also just this little bit right here, when he kind of came around this way, how tight he was. He was so down. He was so tight on the sheep that they got really nervous. And you can see that when they start rushing, start getting worried. These guys are dog broke. I do have some in here that are lighter, but when you work them as a group, they're pretty calm normally, as long as the dog's not pushing on them. You could also see at the top when he split off the one, and that's what I scolded him for at the top. So there's just a lot of management to do with a young dog, or a dog that you're just starting out with. And that's kind of what I wanted to demo, just talking to the camera in this particular video.